Hey, everybody. I have no idea if I'm live. I'm hoping I'm live. Usually you're supposed to test these things and then go live, but I just jump right in because otherwise I wouldn't get anything done. Okay, I asked for questions and I got, why is being a Nazi so in this season? I'm asking my friend, can you see if I'm live on Facebook? I know I'm live on YouTube. How about that? So YouTube people, you're going to watch me go live on Facebook. How exciting. Usually people right about now play music or something, right? I'll change the title of this later. Okay. Let's hope this works. All right. So we're live today. I'll just repeat this again, but we're going to talk about the Denver rally disruption. We're going to talk about, are you black pilled? That's my question because I'm wondering that about myself. I keep toggling between we have a chance and it's freaking hopeless. I want to talk about some celebrity news. Lots of mental illness in the celebrity news right now. So that's always fun. So join me. I'm just going to wait a few minutes. Got a couple people. Give me some chats. Give me some questions. Got anything? I don't even know. Like, I'm doing this with my, let me go over to Facebook and see if I have any. I have no idea what I'm doing. This would be my first live Facebook video because I was banned for 30 days right after I was going to start doing it. And then now I'm not banned. So I don't know if this is going to work. I may have to just post the YouTube later. Yeah, there it is. I'm live. I can see myself. So John Prescott is watching. Hey. Okay, now I can see, now that some people are here, I can see how the questions would come in. Can somebody type a question so I can just see what it looks like? Would come in. Can somebody type a question so I can just see what it looks like? You guys ready to talk about Denver? I know John is. John is a Colorado fan. Did you see what happened with the support the police rally where the police allowed the support the police people to be attacked? Hey, yeah, there. Okay, so now I see how the comments work. All right, awesome. Got a few people on YouTube. I'm simultaneously live on YouTube. Connect with your audience. Boom, boom, boom. You guys feel connected with? All right. So I'm going to read so I tried to post Michelle Malkin's article on what happened to her. You guys just can't believe this if you haven't seen it. You have to go Google Michelle Malkin, Denver, rally to support the cops and watch the videos because it's kind of insane. Basically, this wasn't her rally. There was an organizer who did, this is the 5th annual. This isn't like a new thing because of BLM. 5th annual support the cops rally in Denver. And I tried to post Michelle Malkin's just reporting of what happened. And Facebook, instantly blocked. There wasn't even a delay. I could not post it. And it said this goes against our community standards. So Facebook does not want you to know what happened in Denver. So crazy. And I'll just get into that first, and then we're going to just talk about whether or not you're black pilled yet, because I'm borderline, man. Okay, so her article is called One Nation Under Anarcho Tyranny. And she calls them, oh, you know what? This is why Facebook banned it because you're not allowed to say BLM, BITCHES, which is her new name for these people who attack her, these BLM people who attack peaceful people. So she posts all these videos. You guys got to go check it out. You got to see the videos. One nation under anarcho tyranny. The America you grew up in is not the America we live in now. Do. Um, Toxic combination. I mean, this is not it, but I'm not going to read this whole thing. Let's see. Where is it? Anarcho tyranny is how rioters can shut down highways and byways on a whim without fear of arrest, while commuters trying to escape the window smashing barbarians obstructing traffic are charged with assault. So, yeah, we're dealing with kind of two sets of laws right now, which really, I don't know how it gets worse than that. When does it get worse? When do we go, oh, okay, that's maybe something that we have to take a stand here? We have to take a stand where the law is being applied unevenly. If you're, and crazily, it's not even, if it was one group of peaceful people or two groups of violent people, one was getting special treatment and the other, wasn't, that would almost be different. But when you're watching the violent lawbreakers get off and the people defending themselves be arrested, that's just right. It crosses a line. All right. So her article goes on to say, basically, this rally was attacked by Antifa and BLM. It was shut down. They were violent. They attacked people and actually injured them. They were carrying weapons. You can see that in the video. And they shut down this Support the Cops rally. And it turns out afterwards, the Denver police were given a stand down order. The chief of police marched with BLM a couple weeks ago. But, Michelle makes the point. Why are the cops doing this? Why are they listening to their bosses? Why wouldn't they protect people who were out there rallying in support of them? I mean, there's your moment, Denver cops, and you missed it. You missed it. You should all en masse have gone against your boss. So rank and file cops in Denver who watched as my patriotic friends and I tried to hold a law enforcement appreciation day. That's so freaking ironic. This past Sunday were besieged by Black Lives Matter and Antifa thugs who declared that their sole intent on invading our permitted celebration was to shut us down. I live streamed the chaos as pro-police attendees were beaten, including the organizer, who was bloodied in the face and head just a few feet from me by black masked animals. One Antifa actor wielded her collapsible baton just inches from me. The cop haters had obstructed traffic on their 5-minute march from their unpermitted event at the state capitol to our permitted space. No cops intervened. Unprovoked, the cop haters blared air horns, sprayed our faces, burned an American flag, punched, shoved, menaced, and took over our stage. No cops intervened. The Denver police chief, Black Lives Matter champion Paul Pazan, has repeatedly and publicly blamed us, the law-abiding, for not having enough private security in place. If we had brandished or used our weapons in self-defense, we'd be facing felony assault charges. That's true. If any of our men had tried to peel the female Antifa thugs off of MAGA ladies who were assaulted, they would have been charged with battery. On Tuesday morning, a Denver police union official called me to apologize for the department's failure to protect those of us who tried to speak on their behalf. Police union president apologized and confirmed that a retreat order was in place, effectively abandoning the duty to protect and serve the peaceful pro-police rally attendees. So the message is loud and clear, says Michelle. When push comes to bloody shove in end-stage America under the rule of the anarcho-tyrants, we, the law-abiding, are the enemy. Those in uniform sworn to protect and serve will turn their backs on us because their bosses don't answer to the public. They protect and serve the mob. So that's what happened in Denver. What do you guys think about that? Did you hear about that? because I don't think that's on mainstream media. I think that's literally buried. And I don't even remember how I became aware of it. I think that I was looking at Michelle Malkin for something completely different. Something totally I think I had just watched um her live stream podcast and was just kind of looking some stuff up, and then that came up. So, have you guys heard of that? Let me know in the comments. So that's crazy. So the question is that our black pill moment? And I'll just I don't know if you know what that means, but we've all been red pilled. We're not like the people who need to be red pilled. We know what's going on basically in America. Red pilled is for the people who are sort of still thinking that the media doesn't lie and that the politicians are going to help us. And okay, so I'm getting a thing. I watched the video clip she posted, but can't find them anywhere now. If you Google Michelle Malkin um, Denver rally, I think you'll get her article, One Nation Under Anarcho Tyranny. And then all of her videos are posted in that article. And that's her article. So, you know, we don't need to be red pilled. We already have the basic facts. I think everybody who listens to this show, obviously, because you get my news, so you know what's going on. And so you don't need to be red pilled. The next stage, I guess, is black pilled. And a lot of people are already black pilled. And I don't think that means you give up. I just think it means you give up on the current system being a viable thing. And I'm not saying I'm there. I still, like, in spite of this, maybe it's naivety, I still think we work within the system. But I do think that this November will be a big shock to us. I think we'll find out just how much sanity is left. If Trump wins, things are going to go crazy. If Trump loses, things are going to go crazy. Depending on by how many votes, I think it will really make a difference. But if Trump wins, even by a landslide, there's the violent faction in America that's just not going to accept that election. And then the question is, what happens? What happens next? If Trump loses by a little bit, the right is not going to accept that. They're going to assume it's fraud. They're not going to accept it. And they're certainly not going to accept rule by a vengeful, angry leftist politician who's going to apply the law differently. I mean, that's going to put people in the streets. So really, either way, I feel like how do we get out of this? I don't really see an out. And if that's the case, doesn't that mean I'm black pilled? Isn't that, I don't know. What do you guys think? November is going to be the big moment in American history, right? So some of you are saying, haven't heard anything about the rally. Right. I mean, that's big news. Antifa and BLM, they stormed the stage. They had 2x4s. They had, I guess the organizer got hit by a skateboard. Like this Antifa guy was carrying a skateboard and smashed him in the head. And he was bleeding. And Michelle Malkin got sprayed in the face with that spray foam, and a bunch of other women did too. And I mean, but that's still assault. And you don't know what's in that. That would be really scary if some, these crazy people managed to spray something in your face. I would be totally freaked out. Christopher Budden says, I'm just going to get off the grid. Yeah. I mean, I have friends already off the grid, but who wants to live off the grid? I don't want to live off the grid. I still have hope, but my family is preparing for bad scenarios. Yeah, right. When the riots were happening in LA, I'm in Laguna Beach. They got as far south as Huntington Beach, which is still about a 45-minute drive from me north. It's pretty peaceful here in Laguna Beach. But there was one night where I was extra cautious and everything got locked up, at 5 p.m., 4:30 p.m. And I made sure my weapons were ready. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. I thought if somebody comes up to my house to rob me, the cops may not come because they're busy with maybe looting downtown or something like that. So, yeah, Portland cops blinded by laser pointers. So here you have in Hong Kong where they're using those lasers. I mean, they've come up with some of these tactics, and that's against a really dictatorial, tyrannical regime. And Antifa is using them against federal law enforcement, just protecting their own building. So in this case, Antifa is the aggressor, trying to break down the doors to the building. And then when someone comes out and says, "No, you can't do that," um, they blinded them with lasers. Jesus, permanent eye damage for some of those guys. So the message is clear, man. But these people, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she was trying to tell me that people in Antifa, and some of them are just violent. They just enjoy. They just are enacting. They're just enacting their rage out on people. But some of them are actually feeling like the system is broken for real reasons. And this is just the path they've taken. They think for whatever reason that this is the way to fix things. I don't know what to think about that. I mean, obviously I can still morally condemn them, but you know, I don't know if you have an excuse these days. You're just piling on innocent people, and if you don't know that communism just leads to more death and destruction, where have you been? I mean, a lot of these young people are so ignorant. So that's really sad. Um, but anyway, just wondering how many of you are black pilled, because I resist it. I have this natural kind of optimism, but I don't see an outcome in November that doesn't spark some sort of major conflict within the country. And then, you would have to put it down, you would have to do violence. I mean, Trump would have to do violence with federal law enforcement. I don't really see that happening. So what do you guys think? Got some comments. If you don't comment on this, I'm going to have to segue into Kanye West, which I know you guys don't want. Only I'm interested in the Hollywood news, the Hollyweird news. There are a number of psycho celebrities in the news right now. So I wanted to cover that. I'm not saying Kanye is psycho. I think he's a little psycho, probably narcissistic. He's obviously bipolar. So I wanted to cover that. I'm not saying Kanye is psycho. I think he's a little psycho, probably narcissistic. He's obviously bipolar. He's been diagnosed with that. I'm pretty darn close to being black pilled. Yeah, right? I mean, I kind of go back and forth. Some days I'm optimistic, and then some days I'm like, I believe the federal government could pull out of the states and cut off government funding. And then what? Now we've got a fractured country. I mean, maybe that's the solution. But now really that's kind of civil war without a shot being fired. That's the breakup of the union. If the federal government pulls out and just pulls the funding, now you've got an independent Oregon and an independent Washington, maybe. Did you guys see that a huge swath of Oregon has filed the paperwork to become Greater Idaho? Yeah, tough to see peaceful post-election America. Right. I mean, we can't accept leftist rule because look at what they're doing when they are in charge. This is how they treat us. They arrest people who defend themselves. And we can't put up with that. I mean, I feel really bad for people we're already putting up with that to a degree. But we can't on a national level put up with that. And so we can't put up with that. Can they put up with Trump? Can they put up with another 4 years of Trump? They're already so psychotically crazy from just the first 4 years, and he hasn't even done anything crazy. If Trump wins, there will be violence. The fight is already here. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, so you're black pilled, Stephen. Yeah. Yep. Not black pilled yet. A few more major catastrophes than maybe. Well, so next week, is that right? All right. So yeah, I'm glad to get your guys' thoughts. I was watching the YouTube channel Black Pilled, and that was getting me down a little bit. So, okay, yeah. So we can. What do you guys want to talk about? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to move on to Kanye West. So I don't know if you saw, but he had a major meltdown. I guess I can wait a few minutes and wait for you guys to have. I hate that for small business owners in those leftist states. Yeah. That's the toughest. And it's not just the riots, but the lockdowns are just crushing small business. And what's so revealing about that, I I mean, there's been some disillusionment on my part. I thought I was pretty informed and pretty I knew there was a health mafia because I'm sick, so I'm sort of dealing with the FDA and all that stuff all the time. I was aware of the health mafia, but I wasn't aware. I wasn't as deeply aware until Trump, really, that there really is kind of an oligarchy of corporate leaders and politicians, and that it's obviously not across the board, or we would already be doomed. But it's definitely more pervasive than I thought it was. If the commies go much more nuts, paramilitaries will form. Yeah, but they'll be arrested, right? I mean, we already have militias. We already have armed Americans. They're not really doing anything. And when they do something, I mean, that couple in St. Louis can't even stand out in front of their house and say, "Hey, don't come here because we're armed." They can't even just show force, show that they have force. Businesses have folded to the mob. Seems like they've all been black pilled. Um, So yeah, one of the things that really bothers me about these lockdowns is that you can go to Target, but then they've closed down, the store. Well, not anymore, but for a while, the small shops were closed and the big boxes were open, and that is just how revealing is that? Why does Target get special privilege? Some of the companies who supported BLM are still getting the. Of course, they are. I mean, Target is a perfect example. Target supported BLM and they were the first one to have a store burned down. And I'm seeing people on the right with businesses supporting BLM. I'm seeing friends of mine, sending out a donation thing and not really being aware. I hope they're not aware that they're supporting communists and basically the overthrow of our country. So frustrating. Guess which side the police go after if right-wing protests show up? Yeah, right. The law is being applied unequally, and I don't know what to say. Like, the police are that thin blue line, and they are totally not doing what they are supposed to be doing, protecting law-abiding citizens. They're not doing that, and they're arresting the good and not arresting the bad. And they're doing it because their boss told them to. And here we are watching these, very political police chiefs and mayors making the decisions, and the cops just go along with it because they don't want to lose their job. And I just like it. Is that not right out of some book about Nazi Germany? Oh, yeah, I know I herded Jews into cattle cars, but I was ordered to do that. They told me to do it. What was I supposed to do? They would have hurt me if I didn't do it. Somehow I would have been hurt by that. So I think, we're Americans, we're not Germans. And I'm hoping that we start seeing some cop rebellion. And it would have to be like a lot of them. But they could do that. It'd be like when cops or when people go on strike. So cops need to start standing up. Police are a tool of the politicians. But like most of the police, I mean, most of the guys on the force are just good guys who got onto the force to do that job. It's a good job, has good benefits. They do care about their communities, I think. Um, they just have these political bosses, and they haven't yet gotten the courage to stand up to them. So we'll see. I hope they do it. That could be our chance, especially in the leftist cities. If we start seeing that, that would be really encouraging because then I would feel like, these leftist mayors and police chiefs aren't going to take over these communities and wreck America, that they're going to be that we don't have to send in troops to to stop the disintegration of our country. They don't want to lose their pensions. Right. I mean, but they're going to lose their country. I mean, what good is their pension? What good is that money? It's probably not even going to be worth anything. If cops don't, eventually vigilantes will. Right. But not necessarily in the leftist cities. So we would break apart because vigilantes aren't going to do this in a left. They're going to get arrested and they're going to get felony charges. And why would anybody go through that? Why would you let a leftist put you in jail? I wouldn't. I would just leave and go make my home somewhere else. So, okay, checked out Black Pill Channel. Interesting takes. Yeah, some interesting takes. He's a good storyteller, the guy who runs the Black Pill Channel, but it's a little depressing. You kind of have to go in and not watch too many at once. Portland is nice. Oh, good. Nice people. So you want to talk about Kanye? So poor guy. I don't know if he's in a bipolar mania or not, but he said some stuff. He got up on a stage at a rally, a crazy presidential rally. He's not really. Oh, I see. Poland is nice, not Portland. I read that wrong. Yeah, right. I don't know if I want to do that. Okay, so let's do the Kanye news. Kanye West had a rally, a presidential rally, and this is political news, right? Because he's running for president under the birthday party, which I love. I think that's great. But then, he had this sort of crying meltdown at his political rally where he talked about, and honestly, as a mom, this actually moved me. He's like, we were almost about to abort our first child, and he was crying about it. And of course, thinking about that might make me cry. And I don't think you realize it. And then maybe you're capable of having an abortion, but after you've had a child, they're just so precious. So he's bawling, he's crying, and then the next day, and then there were these rumors that Kim was mad at him. The next day, he said over Twitter that he's been trying to divorce his wife for a year. He accused both Kim and Chris of white supremacy, just because they're white. And he said, "I've been trying to divorce Kim since she met with this other rapper at the Waldorf over prison reform, like claiming that she was cheating on him." There were just a ton of tweets. And then he said that Kim and Chris were trying to fly in with two doctors to 5150 him. He's probably in the, so he blamed white supremacy for Kim's action. And she's sort of white, I guess. He later deleted that tweet. But then he's heading for a hospital. I'm not sure which, but he won't go. And she put out a statement saying, that he's in the middle of a manic episode and don't judge and stop hating on him. So that's a very white thing to say, right? Very white to say, you need to see a doctor, Kanye. I think everybody kind of thinks he's a little unhinged, but who all is surprised if Kanye wants to divorce Kim? I'm not. I mean, when they got married, it was kind of what? But like, how long is that going to last? Those two narcissists. And they have 4 children, though. So that kind of breaks my heart. I really am sort of anti-divorce for people who have kids and they're little kids. Oh, I see. Yeah, Jason says, or they're headed for ratings. Yeah, maybe this is just a big reality TV spoof. It could be. Although Kanye doesn't seem to be that into that. He doesn't usually go along with that stuff. He's not on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians episodes and stuff. However, we all know that him running for president is just a publicity stunt for his new record. But I kind of thought it was over between Kim and Kanye when he was criticizing her Met Gala dress as being too sexy. And then he said, I saw an interview where he said that when he was younger, he had this idea, he wanted his wife to be hot. He wanted her to be like this, to look like a stripper, be the hottest thing. But now that he has kids, he doesn't want that anymore. And when he said that, I thought, oh my God, he's married to the wrong woman. I can't see Kim becoming more conservative. I just can't see that. They're like the queens of soft porn on the internet. I mean, she's only famous because of a sex tape. So how do you marry that? And then I feel sad for him. Good intentions, obviously cares about America. People are piling on. I feel sad too. I mean, I don't know. He's not exactly a great representative for, I don't know, maybe he is. I've heard some really articulate interviews from him where he really clearly articulates the need for Black people to be individuals and to think for themselves, and that his biggest problem is just being told what to think. That is the biggest problem within that community, and that they are bullied and intimidated into political opinions. Well, we all are being, so we all know what that feels like now. But that's been going on for a while there and among Black people. And he broke away. That takes a lot of courage, and he's been speaking very articulately about it. So in some ways, he's courageous, and he's the hero for that. He's just kind of weird. He's wacky, but he's also got a mental disorder, which he's admitted to, bipolar. And if anyone, I've had a very close relative that was bipolar, and it was really hard and very sad. And I would never criticize Kanye for his crazy rants over the last week. I think it is important to sort of back off and see what happens to them. But I do think that, forgetting the bipolar thing, ideologically, they've gone culturally. Kim and Kanye have split because he's moved to conservatism, not just politically, but he's doing these Sunday church things. He runs a Sunday school online. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Biden straightened Black voters out, right? I would never criticize Kanye for his crazy rants, right, Sean? I mean, he's got a problem. He's got a problem. So as somebody who had a bipolar person in their family, I'm just going to wait and see. But he does the Sunday school. He's become kind of hyper religious, and he's mixing with more of those types of people. And yet he has this wife who doesn't embody those values. And they're probably having a lot of conflict because of that. I mean, there's just like story after story of Kanye doesn't want North wearing lipstick, but Kim, obviously she's the queen of way too much makeup. And I would be worried if I were Kanye, because if you look what happens in that family, the plastic surgery, the emphasis on looks, I wouldn't want that for my daughter. It's weird that he's becoming the more grown up of the two, is it? You thought it would be Kim? No, I know what you're saying, because he's wacky. He's the crazy rapper who dressed Kim in the first place in half her stripper outfits. And now he doesn't want her to be a stripper. Now he wants her to be a respectable wife and mother. Politically, Kanye helps Trump. The messenger may be crazy, but there's a lot of truth in his message. Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea those butts weren't, I'm not going to say ASS, weren't natural. Yeah, they look really natural. So, but it's not just the butts. Like the real revealing plastic surgery for me is poor Kylie Jenner, who has literally, like, she may as well be wearing a plastic mask. She doesn't look anything like how she used to look. My lunch hour is over. Okay, bye. Thanks for joining. I'm going to get into Johnny Depp and Meghan Markle here. We're going to do some royal watch. There's really not much to say. I mean, there's been a lot of news on the royal watch front. But let's talk Johnny Depp because that's the other psycho. In this case, the marriage dissolving. Who here thinks Johnny Depp is the abuser? Anyone? Kylie the billionaire. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that title's been taken away and given to Kim. But that's sad. I've heard, and just looking at Chloe and her recent plastic surgery too, she doesn't look anything like herself. I mean, how do you like hate yourself so much and the way you look, and then to have all that uncomfortable stretching and plastic? I just think like their faces don't move, and I can't imagine that's comfortable. I don't really know. I don't have any in my body. Maybe it doesn't feel like anything. I'm ready though. I'm getting older. I need to start injecting. It's that time. I would like to, if I just get off the pred, I'll get rid of this double chin. Can't do anything about it now though. You guys want the pred report? Migraine headaches. That's the fun part of tapering that I'm dealing with right now. Okay, so Johnny Depp. Who thinks Amber Heard is the aggressor, or who's the abuser in this relationship? You following some of this news? The crazy thing about the court case going on right now, which is all the gossip coming out about these two and Elon Musk and her sort of semi-affair with him while she was still married, and Depp abuses himself. Yeah, right. Yeah, it looks that way. Poor guy. And now it's no surprise he picked an abuser either, because I mean he does look like the type who, and I think abusers, they know, they find the victim, and he looks like somebody. She said that in some interviews, maybe, a while back. It was a while back in her early 20s. That crazy psycho representing objectivism. Sometimes objectivism attracts the psycho narcissists, that's for sure. They're looking for an excuse for any kind of self-absorption, pathological self-absorption, and to rationalize their behavior that is so unempathetic and insensitive. Oh, Sean's like, what? You didn't know that? Google it, Sean. You learn something new every day on the House of Sunny podcast. Yeah, she's a big fan of Ayn Rand. Was a big fan. Now she's a woke, she's got to play her role in Hollywood. So yeah, all this gossip is coming out, all these pictures of each of them with bruises on their faces. He had his finger cut off. And not only do we know that story now, but now we get to see pictures of it. All this stuff is coming out in the trial. And it's like a lawsuit about, against, I think, a gossip magazine, maybe. It's not even the divorce. It's not a divorce trial. It's something about a tabloid, or I think, no, here's what it is. She wrote this long article basically not naming him, but saying, oh, I've been abused and me too, and so sad. And he sued the publication, and he's suing her for defamation because everybody knew she was talking about him. And at the time, he actually did lose a bunch of movie projects because people were in that mode of, if the woman speaks, that's the truth. That was the mode we were in. It was way back at the beginning. And so she wrote that and took advantage of that and got a bunch of sympathy. And now, of course, we all know that she's the abuser. But I mean, who didn't know then? I did. Who if you took her side, I think that you were BSing yourself. And I think that you were being a virtue signaler, because to me, she was obviously the aggressor. She's got that weird sort of Angelina Jolie style past where she's sort of wacky, and she's had like, swinging around, having sex with whatever, and doing weird kinky stuff. And then she's with Johnny, and he had these long, sort of well-known, beautiful relationships before that. Winona Ryder, his wife, he had these nice kids who seemed really well adjusted. And then we're supposed to believe that he just happened to meet this really hot chick and he started beating her. And if you listen to that tape, that first tape that was released where he was yelling and screaming and throwing things and banging cabinets, it was obviously, to me, a person really angry and not abusing the person, but just all their buttons were pushed, and he had a little meltdown, but he didn't touch her. So, hey, yeah, see you later, Jason. Okay, bye, John. A couple people. Me Pooh, yeah. Sun newspaper. Was it Sun? I thought it was like Vanity Fair, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, Amber's crazy. So speaking of crazy psycho narcissist wives, you know who I'm going to talk about next, right? The Royal Watch, Meghan Markle. There's not much to say about this except I don't know if you've been following it the last month, but they keep coming out and making crazy woke statements. And this, to me, this is political. And they're saying that she's going to run for office. That's what they're saying now. And the political side of this is that they're a real cultural influence. They're so woke. It's kind of sickening. And now even Harry's on the sort of anti-colonial bandwagon, and not just anti-colonial, anti-Commonwealth, which is the post-colonial organization where England tried to help these countries that it had previously colonized. And the Queen, this is like sort of her life's work. And Harry and Meghan criticized it. So that's kind of a big deal. Don't you think that's a big deal? You guys are like, oh, Harry and Meghan don't matter. But I think they do. They're affecting the culture and they're going to affect politics. That's where it comes from, you know? So for him to kind of come out and be kind of anti-Queen Elizabeth is insane. That guy's insane. If he's not a zombie, like if she hasn't drained his brain and filled it in with some kind of alien substance, I don't know what's happened. Right, guys? Should we get back to the news? Anyway, the other news about them is that they're now in a little bit of trouble, maybe because they transferred some money from a foundation into a private company, and it was like $100,000. I mean, they're just a bunch of poser, social climbing, Hollywood. You know, this whole thing that people are doing, they're setting up the foundation and making money off of charity through these foundations, is like, how does that get smashed? Because that seems to be a real nasty, evil way people are affecting politics and affecting just communities worldwide in icky ways, like what went on in Haiti and, you know, the Bill Gates stuff in India and Africa with the vaccines and the kids that they killed. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That is not a pink lizard from Jupiter conspiracy theory. That is, I mean, they were kicked out of India because they were killing kids with their crazy polio vaccine. Yeah, Harry's done some dumb things. It is a big deal. She swooped in and took out a decent member of the royal family who was maybe a little environmentalist, but otherwise non-ideological. And she's pulled, because of her, now we have a force for leftist ideology in the royal family. You know, that isn't Prince Charles. That doofus. He's Mr. Environmentalism. He's as bad as Al Gore. I think that's a big cultural event. So, but those foundations, that is the way that all of these oligarchs are hiding money, transferring money. I remember, I think I spoke about this on the podcast, but there was this Melinda Gates moment where she was like, We're donating $100 million. The Gates Foundation is donating $100 million to this organization that will be researching, the coronavirus stuff. But if you understood that the organization that they were donating $100 million to was also wholly controlled by them, it's not really charity, is it? It's not really charity. And that the research was linked to these pharmaceutical companies that they own controlling interest in. Like it was just one big freaking spider web of Bill Gates owns it all. And for them to come out and act like, oh, we're so great because we're giving $100 million to ourselves to do R&D on a product that we're going to sell for, not just sell, we're going to cram down your throats through government mandates for billions. Aren't we the most amazing, virtuous people? The Clinton Foundation legit cares about people. I know, right? They're the only ones, right? Yeah. These foundations are a menace, and they allow these people to hide what they're doing. So, I mean, I think that just really requires that we become aware of it. And I just wish there was an honest media. I mean, there's an honest media, and it's online and it's being censored. You can find it. Tim Pool reports on that stuff a lot. Amazing Polly reports on that stuff all the time. She's a great resource for pulling together. She will show you the actual facts, the board members, how they're all linked, how, the 20-person healthcare mafia, I like to call them. I think she calls them the cabal. Yeah, the Clintons. I mean, I don't know how involved the Clintons are with the Gates, but the healthcare stuff is all Gates and some other people, World Health Organization, stuff like that. The Clintons have their own little cabal, and Harry and Meghan, maybe they're becoming a part of that. And they've been schooled in how to set up their own foundation and do that same dishonest work, and act like they're super virtuous and doing charity when they're really just getting a lot of money to travel around and be rich and lord it over people and lecture people. $100 million is like pocket change to Bill Gates, right? It's like me giving $50 away. Yeah, so true. It's so my comment about Harry and Meghan, it's as bad as the Pope being a commie. That's right. You have these sort of cultural forces, and previously we had this royal family that was almost totally apolitical, except for environmentalism because of Charles. And that is so much bigger in Europe. Like it's such a given over there. I don't know how that's not even really discussable. But they didn't come down on. They didn't say anything about Brexit. I think maybe Prince Charles did offhand, but nothing super overt. And now you have a royal who's going to be very overt. He's already criticizing the royal family, and they have power. So it is like the Pope being a communist. It has very direct influence on politics and the culture. Black pilled yet? We talked about being black pilled at the beginning of the show. Does seem pretty negative. We need Doug here to make a few jokes. He's taking a little break from the show. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Michael just joined us just as I'm about to wrap up. You guys have any questions? I'm just here in my little isolated compound, continuing to wear a mask. With my illness, I have to be really careful. And California's got it bad right now, I guess. I admire Queen Elizabeth because she is totally dedicated to serving her nation. The thing about Queen Elizabeth is how dignified she is. And she was there during World War II. So she's got a real past with her country and just being kind of a hero. And her steadiness of character, I think, has been really good for the stability of the country. Where's our Hollywood heroes? I don't know. Remember, it used to be Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis. And now there's no A-listers really. No offense, Nick Cersei. I do watch Scott Adams occasionally. He's a really good commenter. California rate of infection, very different from New York, very slow. I don't think we should be locked down. I mean, the lockdowns are dumb. I don't think they help. I think that it's been proven that they don't help. People just need to kind of get out and make their own decisions. But what I would like to see, and I feel like I should do a whole video on this idea of protecting the vulnerable. I'm a vulnerable person, so I have kind of a front row seat on this. Nobody's doing anything to help me help myself. So, people who don't want to wear masks in public, who view that as an affront, especially inside, you really are putting me in danger. And the reason is that I can wear a mask, but if everybody's not wearing a mask, I'm going to get infected. Or the people who take care of me, they can wear a mask, but they're going to get infected. And I'd be happy to just wear an N95. I would be happy to just have that protection. And then the rest of you guys cannot wear a freaking mask if you want to or not. Like, I need to be empowered to take care of myself. But you cannot buy an N95 mask to save your life. You can get these like weirdo KN95s, which I've said, they don't fit me. And it's very frustrating to me that the government has basically seized and hoarded all of the really protective masks. And so I have no choice but to demand that everybody else wear a mask, right? I mean, I'm not demanding that. I still think it's wrong. But the point is that if you are vulnerable or you have an issue, it is worrisome. I don't want to get that thing. Didn't they control the buying and selling of masks and accuse people of profiteering before mandating them? Let me just see what else you said here. Mandating them. So what happened was in January, I actually bought a box of construction N95s. That's all that was available. You couldn't get medical N95s. So I had that at the very beginning to spread out between the people, my household and myself. And we're just kind of down to the wire on that. Like they're gross. They don't work as well. I can't get a good seal on mine anymore. And I can't get any new ones. And in January, China came in and scooped up a lot of PPE, billions of dollars of our PPE here in the country. They went to all the stores. They have armies of people. And they did this not just in the US, but they did it around the world and took it all back to China. And then we don't really manufacture stuff here, but also the government. There was a guy I saw on TV early on who was like, my factory can make these, but I offered it to the government and they won't even call me back. So that was weird. And then if any of them were imported, the government was seizing the shipments. And I believe they were going into the stockpile because they got caught short without a stockpile. And they're being distributed to hospitals. So I think frontline workers need to have that stuff. But at what point do people like me get to buy them again? Just to be sure you want surgery only. I can't understand that comment. Just to be sure you want surgery only face. If I get too scared, I have a snorkel mask I can strap. I think you could still buy the like painters things with the cartridges. I'd get one of those and wear that to the grocery store. I think people would think that was weird. Yeah, they cleaned out Australia of all medical supplies. Right. They did that here too. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of it for the show today, guys. It's been an hour. Another live episode of the House of Sunny podcast. You got any last minute questions? Things you want me to comment on? Things you want to say? All right. Well, you can always put them in. If I see them, I'll do this again next week. Maybe I'll do more live streams. I liked the show last week, the pre-recorded with the guest, and I'm going to try to do more pre-recorded video shows, and then I'll just kind of sprinkle in these live streams in addition to those. I think it's nice to have both. But I've been I'm feeling well enough to actually do some interviews like I had originally wanted with this show. And yeah, Sean says, why is being a Nazi so in this season? Could it be the uniforms? I don't know, like the crisp, the nice colors. I don't think it's this season, Sean. I think it's next season. I think what you're seeing is the Nazi thing is going to be very in November. You know, it's really a winter outfit. Thanks, Bill. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm going to end this and we'll see you next week, maybe for another live stream and a recorded. We'll see what I can get done. All right, then.